Peach! Oh. Hey guys, and welcome back. Today I am with Peach at the park. She is a very excitable, very overly friendly dog, and I thought that it would benefit her to come here and do some training. Peach! Oh. Alright, ready, Peach? Sit! Good job! Ready, Peach? Aha! A couple mistakes that you may make if you have an overly excited dog is, number one, allowing your dog to say hi to every single person and every single dog. The second one would be to not apply obedience when you go out. And lastly would be improper leash handling, meaning that you just allow your dog to pull when it's excited to go over and say hi to somebody. So let's go over the first mistake that owners make with their overly excited dogs, which would be to allow them to say hi and go up to every person and every dog. Now, I know that it's a very cute thing to watch as an owner, to see your dog interacting with people and to see your dog being friends with other dogs. However, your dog is learning from everything in their environment, and if they pulled in order to interact with that person, if they yanked you to go say hi to that dog on their leash, then that is something that they register in their brain. And saying hi to somebody and getting pet and getting to meet other dogs in itself is a very self-rewarding behavior. So by allowing your dog to do this, you're actually positively reinforcing and telling them that it's okay to jump on a stranger, that it's okay to drag you until they get to see that other dog. If Peach is overly excited, I won't allow her to go up and say hi to a stranger because I know that she's probably going to jump, and that is not going to send her the message that I want. So now you might be asking yourself, how do you introduce calm behavior? How do you teach your dog that that's what you want from them when they have these interactions? We'll be talking about that just a bit. The second mistake that owners make is not applying obedience training when they are going out with their dogs, especially in areas with high distractions. You have to remember that your dogs communicate very differently, and that when you have obedience training, this is the way that you are effectively communicating with your dog. That is the language that they know. Sit, down, stay, whatever it may be that your dog knows, that is what you're telling your dog to do instead. That is the way that you communicate with them. So even if you're going out and you're running errands and you're busy, that is something that's really important for you to keep in mind. I know that sometimes it might be hard to multitask, but you really have to learn to prioritize this. It's something that you as an owner also have to pick up on and apply with your dog, because remember, they are learning from every single thing in their environment. So something that was initially a little bit difficult for me with Peach was if I would go to the cashier and the cashier was baby talking her, it was difficult for me to pay for the thing that I was buying, talk to the cashier, and also pay attention to Peach. So now I just make sure that when we are going up to the cashier, I tell Peach to sit or I tell Peach to go down, and I keep an eye on her. But that's something that I definitely had to learn because it's not a natural habit that we have. So that is something very important to keep in mind. Now let's go on to talk about improper leash handling. As owners, we need to be very self-aware of how we are communicating with our dog, even with using our leash. So for example, if you see a dog and you know that your dog is very overly excited and you are trying to avoid that dog, or you already are anticipating them pulling, you might inadvertently start to add tension to the leash and start fidgeting with the leash. And this actually makes your dog pay attention and fixate to whatever they are triggered by even more. So this is something that you have to really keep in mind when you are going out with your dog. And this is where obedience training comes in really handy. And something that's important to note is that although you want to create as many positive experiences for your dog and avoid as many mistakes as possible, they're still going to happen. So if your dog does pull, that's fine, but it's what you do after that matters and that registers in their brain. So do you correct your dog for that behavior? Do you just allow it to happen? Those are all things that you really have to pay attention to. Something that has been very helpful for Peach and I, especially because she's such a social pup and she's just so loving and she just wants as much attention as possible, is to work at a distance first. If I know in my heart of hearts that she's not going to be able to handle being that close to a person, then we'll work a couple of feet back. And another thing that I've noticed, because she is very overly excited and gets easily distracted, is to work in increments. So we'll do some training up close with somebody or at a distance, and then we'll go and decompress and have a play session. For me, it's really been about finding what works for Peach and finding that sweet spot, that balance of when can I keep her engaged to the max, and if I see her start to disengage, what can I do to get her back to me? Is it that I need to change how much time we're spending on this particular thing? Is it that I'm not rewarding her enough? What is it? So that's something that I had to figure out with her, because she is very different in that aspect, comparing her to Dante. The biggest thing that I think owners struggle with as well is just their overall patience with their dogs. You want your dog to stop jumping, you want your dog to stop barking, you want your dog to stop all of these things, but are you really taking the time to figure them out? Are you really taking the time to see what drives them? Are you taking time to practice things and figure out what works and what doesn't? Are you being consistent? These are things that I always have to ask myself, because at the end of the day, Dante and Peach, they're not robots. They have their own anxieties, they have their own worries. So it's something that I always try to keep in mind, to have patience. There are going to be days that are much better. There are going to be circumstances that Peach does great, that, you know, she was not as distracted, she was super engaged. And then there might be a day that something that she's never seen before comes by and it just feels like we had a terrible session. But the thing is that you have to really give yourself some grace, but also make sure that you are holding yourself accountable and seeing if you're doing everything you can to help communicate with your dog and build on that relationship with them. Comment down below if you know exactly what drives your dog, if you know that they are all about affection or if they're all about play. For Peach, she loves playing with her tug and she loves playing with, you know, sticks and playing fetch. So yeah, let me know what you guys know about your dogs, and don't forget to support our channel by subscribing and sharing this video. We appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you, girl. Right, ready? This one. Drop it. Sit. Down. Down. Heel. Heel. Good heel. Good girl. Sit. Down. Hey, sneaky girl. Come here. Do it again. Heel. Good. Sit. Sit down. Good girl. Quick. Yes, girl.
Coming here today was really difficult for Peach because there are a lot of dogs and a lot of them are off leash, and I just didn't let her go say hi to anybody because she was too excited. There are a couple of ways that you can help your dog. So first one is impulse control. This would mean not letting your dog run out in front of you when you open the door and having them sit instead. Another way that you can help your dog with impulse control is having them sit before you give them food, and basically just having them wait out anything that you could otherwise give to them right away. So food is great for Peach, going out the door is really great for her. So here right now she's getting impatient, she's seeing a lot of people walking by. So her tendency, because she gets frustrated very easily, is to just break her command, which is why I just tell her to sit again, or down, or do whatever she was doing before. Another way to help your dog that is very overly excited or overly friendly is helping them build up with their frustration tolerance. Like for example, Peach right now, she is very bored. She wants to leave, so she's whimpering. But if I were to just go and leave right now, that would just teach her that she just has to cry, get frustrated, and then, you know, she kind of gets her way. So this is a great example of teaching her patience and teaching her to tolerate not getting what she wants right away. So there are a couple ways that you can notice that your dog has a very low frustration tolerance. Would be if your dog seems to break commands very easily before you give them a treat or before you release them. So what you have to do is literally just practice it over and over again until they do, and they stay in that command for as long as you want. Obviously you have to work in increments. You can't expect to have your dog hold a command for a long period of time if they haven't worked towards it. Peach, down. Good girl. I've seen a lot of people also do scatter feeding, which is when you would put some food on the ground or on the grass without your dog seeing it and allowing them to go and to search for the treats. It helps with their frustration tolerance because they have to go and sniff and look for the treat. They don't really know what it is, and it's a great way to mentally stimulate them. The last way that you can help your dog with frustration tolerance, and it's personally my favorite because Peach really likes this, is playing tug with them, or just any game that requires for them to sit and then be released. So like I was doing fetch with her earlier, so that really helps with their frustration tolerance because they learn that, you know, if they're playing tug, they can't always win. They have to wait their turn, they have to share. So I'm just gonna wait for her to relax and stop whimpering. Oh, yes, good girl. So this is like the first time she looks at me. Good girl. Okay, all right, break. Come, sit. Good girl. So if you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment down below things that you've done to help your dog with their frustration or their impatience, or comment if you have an overly friendly dog and these are things that you're going to start practicing. Right, Peach? Ready to go? Yeah, let's go. Come on.